fights. Speaking of promoters, we have Mark Pavelich on the line right now, the MFC owner and one of the probably the craziest personalities in all mixed martial arts on the line right now. Mark, what's going on, brother?
I'm fantastic. What's shaking?
Just slapping hose and throwing rocks at birds, man. Just another Sunday afternoon. But first thing I want to ask you, man, is, obviously you got a lot going on right now. You're getting ready for MFC 34, taking place August 10th. So how are things going on that end? And, obviously you got a stacked card there. So you can maybe talk about that a little bit.
Everything's going fantastic, as usual. It's hard not to when you work the way our family works. So, it's not, sometimes it sounds arrogant, but it's really not. It's a well-calculated, well-oiled machine. And, that's what people don't understand. It's like we've been in the game 13 and a half years. We're a family business that our goal is not, to be cool. Our goal is to be, leave a legacy. So that's what people are dealing with when you compete with us, right? So when everybody's sitting around worried about Christmas, Hanukkah, Easter, birthdays, we don't do that. We're worried about selling out shows. We're worried about signing bigger sponsors. We're worried about signing bigger fighters. And the pretenders, which there's quite a few of them in this industry, their priorities are something different. Like I always tell everybody, you spend 1 hour with our family, 1 hour, and you will change your mind, and you will start building that statue of our family where it needs to be.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, when we announced last week that we were having you on the show, I had a couple of individuals get at me on Twitter for some questions they wanted to ask you, and there's one guy in particular you might remember, David Neighbor, good guy by the way. He wanted me to ask you about your policy on not granting fighters a Zuffa opt-out clause in their contracts, and you replied to him. You're like never, I'll never allow it. I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate more on this, on the air here.
It's funny. Can you imagine how sick the MMA world is? And I respect that question. I'm not talking about the individual asking the question, but can you imagine how disgustingly sick the MMA world is when people are asking that if I personally would allow, that's like, do you understand how ludicrous that is, how insane that is to even ask such a question when I own one of the biggest organizations in the world, but I'm going to put a clause in my contract that says, no, you can go fight for a competitor, even though they're, the biggest in the world, but you can go fight for them. Any idiot that's in this business that allows that shouldn't be in this business. Should not be in this business. You understand how ridiculous that is? When you're bowing down, listen, the UFC is the best show in the world, okay? I'm not denying that, right? I'm one of the best shows in the world. I'm the best show in Canada by about 1 million miles. But I'm gonna discredit myself and my brand by going, hey, when you get really good, you can just go over to Zuffa. Come on, man. That's not the game we're in. Listen, let me be on the field, okay? Let me play in the game, coach. Put me in, right? I'm not saying I'm going to ever beat them, but Jesus, man, it's unbelievable the mentality of these other promoters. If you're a promoter in the mixed martial art world and you allow that, you're an absolute idiot, right? You shouldn't be in this business. You're a fake. You're a fraud, and you have no business being in this. All you are is a glorified fan allowing, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not making real money in the mixed martial art world, and you're not really in the mixed martial art business.
Mark, this is Bryan Levick. I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I wanted to thank Scott as well for helping get you on the air and setting this all up. I love your style. I love how you speak from your mind, because I agree with you. You're in this business to make money and to put on great fights, and by allowing these guys to pretty much dictate, who and when they're going to fight for, who's the boss there. So I definitely respect where you're coming from.
But guys, it's the same as your radio show. It's the same as your radio show, right? It's like you guys get up every day. You work hard to do it, right? You put a lot of effort into it. But then all of a sudden, you're going to sign a contract that says, well, if a competing radio show calls, you can go work for them then, They gotta
pay me a shit ton to bring me over there. They gotta sweeten the deal. I might just hop ship. Sorry, Bryan, but if the deal's good enough, I might hop on over. And I'm just kidding.
The moral of the story is, what bothers people? What bothers the disgusting individuals that are in this MMA industry? You know what bugs them? It bugs them that our family, the Pavelich family, has never bowed down. We've never compromised who we are. We've acknowledged who number one in the world is, right? We're not stupid, but at the same time we want to be our own brand, man. We want to be our own entity. We want to be boutique MMA. We want to be boutique MMA, and people are mad. They're mad that a person like me that's been in the business for what, 13, 14 years. Who else have you interviewed in the last, let's say 5 years that's been in the MMA game as long as me? Nobody, right? So why should I bow down? No, I acknowledge that they're the best in the world, right? But I'm not going to bow down to anybody in this industry. Never.
I love it, man.
Well, Mark, I see, like a lot of your tweets and everything, and you seem to be very family oriented, and I see that you have members of your family working for you. Can you just give us a little bit of insight of who works for you, maybe define some of their roles?
My son is a big contributor to the Maximum Fighting Champion, Dave Pavelich, and then the massive brains behind our organization. Everybody knows it. It's Minot Pavelich. She's my wife. She has been for many years. Part of our business. She's my legitimate business partner. She could care less about MMA, but she loves the MFC, right? So the funny part is about the MMA business. If you put her in a room with anybody else in the world about MMA, she knows more than everybody, right? I'm not talking about. I'm not talking arm bars here or rear naked chokes, right? I'm talking about the business of MMA, and she, like I said, that's the beauty behind her. You think she sits around and orders UFCs on pay-per-view? It never happened once, ever. Now,
you said you've been putting shows on there for a long time. You're obviously the number one organization in Canada. Have you given any type of thought to maybe taking the shows outside of Canada?
Of course, guys. You know how badly that I obsess about coming to the United States, but you know my ticket prices in Canada. It's $600 to sit in the front row. It's $300 to sit in the next row. It's $200 to sit in the next row. The cheapest ticket is $69.99. Where in the United States can I get that money for the ticket?
Yeah, no, you're right.
And that's the problem. Listen, I love America. Listen, my TV partners, HDNet and Access TV now, they're all American. Most of my roster is American, right? I mean, I have much love for the United States, but at the same time as loving it, I'm not going to go broke there either.
Absolutely, man. And, I love that attitude, man. I love that, just because, a lot of people, they want to talk about, Bellator. They're like, oh, Bellator is the number 2 organization in the world. You can't look past the MFC and what you guys have done, and you're still growing, still getting bigger, still whipping ass. I wanted to ask you about that because, Bellator's got this, this deal with Spike TV, in 2013. Wanted to get your thoughts on them as a promotion because obviously, you're a lot of people look at them as the number 2 organization in the world. I think the MFC is right there. I mean, I think they're right up there.
I agree. And you know what the funny part is too? Our business isn't run on hedge fund companies, and we're not borrowing money from people, and we don't owe people money, right? So, I mean, I think if I did that route, we would even be bigger, but financially we wouldn't be bigger. So I'm not. Do you know what the problem with MFC is? I sign great fighters. I put on great fights. I have unbelievable TV partners with HDNet and now Access TV, and I'm on the biggest sport network in Canada, TSN. And the thing is, those are all like goals to get to, right? It's not like I'm going to go Shazam. I'm going to sign something that's going to just turn this. This is a gradual race, man. I've said it from day one. This is the death race of death races, this business, right? And the difference is it's not the guy who's going to sprint, 50 meters. It's the guy that's going to go 500, miles. That's what kind of race this is. Listen, why aren't we talking about Elite XC anymore? Why aren't we talking about Affliction? Why aren't we talking about, all these shows that came along and people were telling me they were going to be the biggest thing in the world? And only in MMA, only in MMA business, Jack and the Beanstalk rule applies because everybody believes it. They go, man, Mark, what do you think of Affliction? I'm like, why would I think anything of Affliction? I like Tom Intencio. You know Tom Intencio? I think he's a great guy. He seems very polite. He seems like a nice guy. Makes a really cool T-shirt for MMA fans, and that's fantastic, and I commend him on that, and he's great at that. Why mess with it and go in the mixed martial art business? Same with me. It's like, I'm great at one thing, right? You don't see me going, oh, you know what? I'm going to open a restaurant tomorrow because I like eating hamburgers.